A Winnipeg woman is sentenced to 6 years in U.S. jail for trying to buy toxin off the dark web. While a deadly virus from Winnipeg lab was sent to China before the RCMP investigation from a year ago, and a Canadian Armed Forces member from Manitoba was arrested after gaining access to Rideau Hall grounds. This is the Great White North Report.
Proud to be a Canadian. On my sequel, I take a
On June 22nd, 2020, Shiju Liu, 37 from Winnipeg, pleaded guilty for attempting to pick up a toxin in the United States that she had ordered on the dark web. She has since been ordered to 6 years in a U.S. District Court in North Dakota for attempting to acquire a chemical weapon. Now, a court document said that the woman went on the dark web, which is the hidden part of the internet, and only accessible through tailored software to try and buy a toxin in February 2019. She was in fact communicating with an undercover agent with the Federal Bureau of Investigation. She ordered 10 milliliters of the toxin and had it shipped under a fake name to a business that receives mail in Pembina, North Dakota. She also ordered personal protective equipment, including a mask, apron, and gloves. Gave no indication what the toxin was or whether there was a motive behind the purchase. Going back, she is a Chinese Canadian. Whether she is a natural-born Canadian citizen or if she's a recent immigrant remains to be seen. Hopefully the RCMP takes over and looks at this case closely to see what ties this woman has with any other agencies. I hate to speculate, but the CCP would be one of them, as well as the microbiology lab in Winnipeg, Manitoba, because there's been a lot of shady stuff going on there. Also, this woman does know how to operate, as she went on the dark web. Most people don't know what the dark web is. I only found out about a year ago myself. And you need tailored software, so she obviously got someone to do that for her. And why would you need a toxin in Winnipeg, Manitoba? What are you going to use it for? Other than what? Groundhogs, gophers, and field mice. What else are you going to use it for? So after ordering this stuff, she crossed the Canada-U.S. border from Manitoba to North Dakota, told officials that she planned to go shopping in Grand Forks. Instead, she drove a few kilometers to the business where the packages were shipped to. She identified herself as Julie Shen, so she obviously went under her alias, and signed off on 6 packages. Not sure what each one was. And she also claimed to be picking up one other package for a friend named Shiju Liu, so her own. She left the business with a small flatbed cart loaded with the packages, and she was arrested. So they were waiting for her. It was a sting operation. And the FBI agent filed in court said that before she was questioned, she said, "I know what I did was wrong." So she obviously knew what she was doing. There's no question of her guilt. She contacted a man and identified as her husband, and she was overheard saying she had broken the law. Now, she remains incarcerated in the U.S. until she may be transferred to Canada, where she will serve the rest of her sentence. So this is what extradition treaties do. A Canadian breaks the law in the United States, they get shipped back to Canada to serve out their sentence. Same with an American, they get shipped back to... Now, my concern is this might have something to do with what the Chinese researcher that was escorted from an infectious disease lab in Manitoba last year. This time it involved 2 Chinese nationals, a husband and wife team. This researcher was very well respected at the National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. She received a request for Ebola and hepatitis from the Wuhan lab. Now, was she involved in that? We don't know. So far, her case hasn't gone public. Zhang Guoqiu, she was a star at the National Microbiology Lab in Winnipeg. So she has a very good reputation, and her husband is also a biologist, Kending Sheng. They were escorted from the lab last July as an internal and RCMP investigations got underway. So they more than likely have ties to the CCP. That would be not far-fetched. They haven't completed the inquiry, and the 2 scientists are still in limbo. And another link between the affair and Wuhan, the Chinese city that had the CCP virus pandemic. Shipment of Ebola and hepatitis samples to China, previously disclosed by the agency and first reported by the National Post, were requested specifically by the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So the institute runs the country's lone level 4 disease lab, similar to the Winnipeg-based one. So Wuhan is the Chinese star of microbiology, and that didn't go so well. In the 3 years before her removal, she's been in Winnipeg for quite a long time. She made 8 trips to China, including 2 to Wuhan, where she was training the staff there, the scientists and technicians, making from 7 to 14 days per trip twice a year for 2 years. And they were paid for by a third party whose identity was redacted from the agency document. So we don't know who it is, and there's a lot of conspiracy theories surrounding it. So we're not going to delve into conspiracy theories. So it is still under investigation, and we'll see if there's any connection between these two cases. But we knew, though, that back in 2009, another Winnipeg researcher was charged with smuggling Ebola material into the United States. Conan Michael Yao had 22 vials of the substance in the trunk of his car when he tried to cross the border on May 5th, and he was charged with smuggling merchandise, which carried a maximum penalty of 20 years in prison or a fine of $250,000 US. So this 42-year-old researcher said he was hired by the Public Health Agency of Canada to work as a PhD fellow at the Winnipeg facility, and he's working on a vaccine. His last day, he stole 22 vials, which he describes as research vectors. So obviously, he was probably gonna, and he said he was taking him to his new job in Biodefense Research Laboratory in Bethesda, Maryland. You just don't take Ebola virus and carry it like that across borders. And it makes me wonder if he was actually going to do that. This came out this year. It was found out that the deadly virus from Winnipeg lab was sent to China before an RCMP investigation. So on March 31st, 2019, live Ebola and Hennepot viruses, which are among the deadliest viruses in the world, were sent to Beijing on a commercial Air Canada flight from that very same lab in Winnipeg. And this might be the policy breach they're talking about. This is in response to a request from the Wuhan virus lab. And it's kind of concerning that they would send it on a commercial air flight. What happened if that got out? Because it was claimed to be inappropriate packaging, then changed after the Chinese clients caught the problem. Shipped on a commercial air flight from Winnipeg to Beijing via Toronto. So it went from Winnipeg to Toronto to Beijing. So it does call into question what exactly is going on in the Winnipeg lab if 3 people who are of Chinese descent are fooling around with Ebola. And I would like to have the RCMP look into everybody connected with that research facility, past or present. There is such a thing as the 1,000 Talents program, which is run by the Chinese Communist Party, the CCP, where they recruit professionals and academics and researchers to share information. And recently, the CCP removed all traces of this program. So they're basically paying people money under the table to find out what they're doing, research-wise. So I would like the RCMP to look into all our universities, all our research facilities, provincial governments, anyone connected. Find out where there's any money trails, because this is a very serious problem when you have people doing this kind of stupid things. It makes me wish that the last thing, the Canadian Armed Forces member was arrested after gaining access to Rideau Hall. The Rideau Hall grounds. Rideau Hall is where the Prime Minister has his residence, as well as the Governor General. He crashed through this pedestrian gate, and he had a long firearm before he was arrested. But he was arrested. The Prime Minister wasn't there, and no one was hurt, thank God. Corey Huron is the name of the man from Manitoba, a Royal Canadian Artillery veteran who recently rejoined as the Canadian Rangers. Canadian Rangers are component of the Canadian Army Reserve that serves in the country's remote and coastal regions, offering help with national security and public safety operations. He probably flipped out with the CCP virus pandemic going on. Business is slow, people are losing money. All the isolation might have drove him over the edge, who knows. I think he would have been better served to stay in Manitoba and start guarding that research lab, find out what's going on there. But anyway, I'm more interested in what's going on in Winnipeg and why so many people are being able to pick up viruses and toxins and crossing the border. So anyway, Canadians out there, let me know what you guys think of this one. This is really weird. There's a ton of conspiracy theories about it. I like to know if there's any connection. And hopefully we'll find out soon. Hopefully RCMP can come up with something. Until next time, this is the Great White North Report. I'm out of here.